Twice Upon a Time is the final battle for the 12th Doctor and showrunner Stephen Moffat's 7 years' time on the show, along with his decade worth of written stories for it since its revival in 2005. The story itself is quite hated and negatively critiqued among the fandom due to its interesting and quite unique approach of there being exactly no antagonist for the story to explore, whilst the intended ending to Moffat's time on the show was the series 10 finale, World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls, which in my opinion was one of Who's strongest finales. The succeeding showrunner we all know and love, Chris Chibnall, wished not to have his era begin in Who's annual Christmas slot, a slot that Moffat dedicated himself to, even with commitments to other projects and hell even a year hiatus. Moffat always made it every Christmas, something so inspiring that you'd think Chibnall would take and continue.
Hi, Richie Reviews here. You might know me as that YouTuber with an overly loud mouth and stupidly long videos, or that one that really loves defending the end of time, which Telos has made a video on, which you should totally check out by the way. But if you're wondering why I've decided to barge in this video uninvited, it's because I'm also an avid defender of Twice Upon a Time, the final story with the 12th Doctor, which I think gets unfairly hated on for ruining the Doctor's death by not having him die in the Doctor Falls. And to be honest, I disagree with Telos here, as I think that's one of the weakest finales New Who has to offer. Check out my Series 10 ranking for more detail. But I think that this story is a much better send-off to 12, and a much more fitting way for his character to come to an end, as we'll both talk about in this video.
The story is very much a gorgeous character-driven piece, the beautiful factor being that the Doctor is confining with his first self, well, first out the TV cycle, or whatever. We saw how drained the Doctor later became the final act of the finale, and when it came to regeneration, the Doctor decided to put a stand to the process, perhaps drained of the mental and physical pain he receives every time it happens, a bit like the 10th Doctor's anger towards the process, as it was shown there, having also been sick of the responsibilities of having to look after the universe and having nothing to gain other than his demise.
I think Moffat's decision to make the 12th Doctor reluctant to regenerate, similarly to how the 10th Doctor was, makes this story so interesting. Because with 10, he was afraid to die because he doesn't want to, because of how awful his short life has been, and he's sick of the torment that he's been going through, and because he's the most human of the Doctors, he sees it in the most realistic way. The 12th Doctor, after going through a considerable less amount of pain, and being the incarnation that has struggled with being the Doctor and knowing what the Doctor was meant to be the most, well, intentionally not knowing what the Doctor's supposed to be like, he vows to never regenerate again, and this is because he thinks he's failed being the Doctor, and that would obviously strike a chord with the Doctor who struggled with this the most. That's why 12's final speech is making sure that the next one gets it right. Because from his point of view, Bill is dead, which is his fault. He failed to turn the Master into a good person, which is his fault, and he doesn't know whether Nardul's dead as well. And since the Series 8 finale ends up pretty much being devoted to this incarnation finding out who he is, years later, thinking that he's failed at this makes him vow to never change again, and makes him suicidal, which is a very brave and daring thing to do with the character of the Doctor. Much like how the 10th Doctor, when faced with death, pondered on how if Time Lords live too long.
I do feel like this story pales in comparison to the last three in the revived run, as usually it's an act of victory that proves to the Doctor and us the viewer that the departing actor will forever be the Doctor. Capaldi really does give it us all here, as it is really the Doctor finding his place and value in the universe, and that's why I find it so beautiful. Other than what people say, David Bradley does an amazing portrayal as the first Doctor, and is quite unfairly critiqued for his inclusion, although I do agree with the couple of unneeded and distasteful 1960s humour that the first Doctor never showed or did. I just adored the presence of one. It was literally there to show 12 of where and why he does what he does today, and I'd only really say that if Moffat had the courtesy of researching for one's character a lot more, then I feel like that part of the criticism for that story wouldn't have even happened.
This is something I kind of disagree on actually, because if you watch some stories with the first Doctor there is that clear 60s sexism, and I'm glad that Moffat chose to make fun of it rather than just ignore it. Now I will admit, some lines take this joke too far.
Very good, sir.
But besides the woman being made of glass line, this is a fantastic portrayal of the first Doctor.
Mark Gatiss as the Captain was great, and his act of brave sacrifice, being ready to die, also influenced 12's decision to carry on with life. The ending scene where the Doctor saves the Captain by putting him back into his impending death a couple of hours after, to find that he is a soldier of the First World War. He survives due to the events of the Christmas armistice, which was such a beautiful scene, presenting the universe's act of mercy and giving the Doctor his final nudge to regenerate.
I think the use of the Captain being a World War I soldier was a great use of his character, And while I think the connection to the Brigadier was a little bit pointless, the connection to the war was perfect, and it was the moment of seeing all the soldiers stop and have temporary peace which reminded the 12th Doctor of how beautiful the universe can truly be. I don't know how Moffat does this in all of his Christmas specials, even the worst ones like Return to Mysterio and The Doctor, the Widow and The Power of Love, but he always manages to get in a beautiful character scene in every single one of them, which is perfect for signifying the beauty of a Christmas story. And this is probably the best example of that. This empty battlefield moment which inspires the Doctor to want to change and carry on living as the Doctor.
Testimony was a great concept for the story as well, with testimony being people who were near death that duplicate their memories into their avatars of glass, as they then appear back into their human bodies that they look like the moment before their death. People that are angry, feeling that Bill's death was retconned, again like with Clara, was a little necessary, as the story tries to show that Bill as a person isn't back, nor Nardole nor Clara, but merely the memories of them and how 12 remembers
This
it.
is a criticism I never really understood for the story, as Bill's usage in the story is not only one of the best of her, finally getting some answers for her long-awaited questions about the Doctor, answered by the original, but the final scene with her and Nardole is great for the Doctor himself. And if the complaint is really that it ruins Bill's death, I mean, the Doctor Falls already did that the episode before.
The Doctor talking to Bill and Nardole regarding his own testimony of people who had dared to him and how it's all too full to contain was heartbreaking. The 12th Doctor's regeneration has great significance to the character of the Doctor, as he knows now the importance of his own existence and accepts that the universe needs it. With his speech being "I love you" few words to his predecessor, part of that extract actually being written in by Capaldi himself. The story also shows how Capaldi's Doctor has experienced a lot in his run, from struggling to find himself in his first season, to then questioning his morality, to then losing his best friends, which made him reach that boiling point where he didn't want to go on and why he lost his faith in the universe. Well, to put it in some short words of to why I like this story, it just takes the character of the Doctor in such an interesting turn for me. Instead of the Doctor just saving the day and having this big blowout like the other three, it's literally just why the Doctor does what he does today and why he left all those years ago in a broken TARDIS to travel through time and space. Thanks for watching. We'd like to thank Richie Reviews obviously for joining me on this one. Richie's a great content creator in this community, and the link to his channel will be in the link in description to check out his videos, and that will also lead to, at the end, there will be an entry annotation leading to his channel as well. So thank you, Richie.
I'd like to thank Telos for giving me the opportunity to talk about why I love this story so much, as it's seeming like my review of it is going longer and longer away. But that's besides the point. Thank you all for watching, subscribe to Telos.